Hey guys, so I want to talk about this somewhat uncommon issue, but a very known issue with all-on-4s. And a lot of times I get this question, hey, my temporary fits perfectly, why can't I get my final to fit? And here's why. So this is a beautifully designed all-on-5. We have 5 implants here. And let's talk about the intaglio and let's take a look at what's going on here. So we have these 5 multi-units, and let's see what happens. Are we able to get a common path of insertion? So the way to look at the common path of insertion is, are you able to see the 2 rims of the multi-units, the inner rim and the outer rim, and are you able to see a slope in between, even if it's a really thin slope? So right here it's an extremely thin area, but you know that if you see that slope, you can insert the prosthesis. But look what's going on right here. There is no slope that's visible, meaning that multi-unit in this specific path of insertion is too divergent and you cannot insert this prosthesis. So I'm going to move it a little bit more to see if you can see. And we just barely start to see right here, but then let's take a look at what happens at number 9. That number 9 multi-unit is now blocked out. So let's see if we can try to find a common path of insertion. And now I'm focusing on the 9 just enough. Now if you notice, my number 9 is still kind of not visible. But if you see the distal most one, it's also starting to get really tight there. So the question is, what's going to happen if I move it just a hair more? And this one is blocked out again. Long story short, this specific design did not work out. Now ideally this has to be factored in on the day of the surgery, not at the design stage. And this is a much overlooked process typically when we do all-on-4s, because on the day of surgery it's a long day. Everyone wants to be done as soon as possible. The patient wants to be done as soon as possible. But this is a really critical step to evaluate when you're placing your multi-units in. And the way I look at it is, I actually have a occlusal photography mirror, and I make sure that I can see my multi-units just like how we do on a long span crown and bridge case, or let's say if it's a roundhouse and you want to make sure that there's a common path of insertion between all of the preps. You use that occlusal mirror before you torque your multi-units in. So you can screw those multi-units in, just don't torque them out until you're satisfied. Now let's say hypothetically the front ones are great, the back ones need a tiny bit of adjustment. As long as they're not torqued in, you can just unscrew those multi-units out, spin the implant a little bit, just enough to correct that angulation change, and then you just might have solved the problems. Now this will also prevent making sure that you have less stresses between the implants, because even if your temporary will fit, there has been some flexion that took for it to fit over that undercut, meaning during the whole time there is going to be potentially some inter-implant stresses going on, which may or may not be critical to the case. And I hope you like this tip. Thank you.